What's up everyone, Emerald here from Emerald's Daily Carry. Holiday season is just around the corner and we're kicking it off with our end of the year EDC Roundup. There are a lot of options out there that we're going to talk about today, including travel and everyday carry gear. Again, this is only meant to be inspiration, just like our mid-year EDC Roundup, which you should definitely check out if you want more EDC goodness. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we have a lot of holiday content coming your way in the next couple of weeks, starting out with our 5 Days of Christmas guide that's going to come out next week. But without further ado, let's get into this EDC Roundup. Our first category to look at are GaN chargers. We've talked a little bit about them in the past. One really cool thing about GaN chargers is that they're smaller than your regular laptop charger, but sometimes they can even output a little bit more power. And they have a couple of different ports, so you can charge multiple devices at once. And it's got some smarts to it, so it's able to allocate different power thresholds per device that you have plugged in. But going over the actual chargers that we have in front of us, we have one from Anker. It's their 140 watt GaN charger. It has a screen built in, so you'll be able to monitor all of the devices that you have plugged into the charger, how fast it's charging, things like that. What's unique about this one is that all of the ports are actually at the bottom of the charger, so when it sits into the wall, your cords are going to come out this way instead of coming out this way. So one nice thing about having the ports at the bottom means that this whole footprint is a little bit smaller, and if you're plugging this in like a coffee shop or something like that, a high traffic area where this might get kicked, this is going to be a little bit of a better option for you just because of that design choice of having the ports be on the bottom. And in the middle here, we have a Taurus 65 watt charger. This one's going to be a little bit on the smaller side. It has a lot less output than these two 140 watt chargers that we have, but it's going to be smaller in terms of its footprint. This one also has an integrated cable in it. So if you're somebody who always forgets their cord, maybe a charger that already has a built-in cable is going to be good for you. And then our third option here is from Sharge. The really unique feature about this one is that it also has an integrated built-in display. So this will still tell you the amount of watts that this charger is pulling, but it does it in a unique pixel pattern, which is pretty cool. But those are our 3 GaN charger options to look at during the Black Friday holiday sale. We'll update the description and the pinned post with all of the links and discount codes that we find. But there you go, a GaN charger. Now, if you're traveling to an international country, but you also want to take advantage of those GaN capabilities, you can check out some travel adapters that have that feature built in. We have 4 different options for you at a couple of different price points, so it just really depends on your needs. These are relatively affordable options that combine fast charging capabilities with that universal travel adapter, so you don't have to have 2 separate things, you just kind of combine it into one. It does mean that these are a little bit beefier than your average brick or charger, and for comparison's sake, this is what you can expect if you're trying to combine that adapter with the GaN charger. So the way that this works is you have a bunch of the different countries on here on the side, and you flick the switch to engage which prong, so you can use it in the UK, the EU, the US, or the AU. All of these will allow you to have a 120 watt thing plugged into the front of it. In addition, you have a couple of different ports on the sides, and as you can see here, we have a couple of different watt outputs. So the 45 watts going to be your lowest. So if you're going to be using this mostly for an overnight thing where you're charging maybe your phone or something like that, a 45 watts probably going to get you there. If you want to do a lot of fast charging, maybe you're at a coffee shop and you need to charge your laptop really quick, something like a 100 watt travel adapter is going to be a little bit of a better fit for your situation. Again, with all of these, you're going to have to look at the little fine print to see what the maximum output of each of these ports are going to be. Generally speaking, the more expensive the adapter, the more power it's able to output for each of the ports. So this 100 watt adapter is going to charge things a lot faster than this 45 watt adapter, for example. Our next category is going to be power banks, which at this point comes in a ton of different form factors, has a lot of features, lots of different outputs across the board. So just to kind of go over from left to right what we have here on the table for you, we have a 25,000 milliamp hour battery here, all the way down to a 5,000. And if you don't know, the milliamp hour rating is basically how big is the battery. So if you have more milliamp hours, in theory, you should be able to charge more things for longer. 25,000 milliamp hours is the maximum that you can bring on a carry-on in a flight. Basically, all of the power banks that we have here have some sort of integrated strap or cable. They do it in a couple of different ways. On this particular power bank, it comes in a clip and you can unhook it here. And now it's a short cable that you can plug in and then plug into your phone or whatever that you're charging. This one has an integrated display, which will show you the amount of battery left inside of your power bank. And then everything else here that has an integrated cable has it in a retractable sense. It does add a little bit of bulk to the overall form factor of the power bank, so there is a trade-off on that sense. This Sharge one, for example, also has an integrated plug built into it. You can plug it directly into the wall to charge the actual battery, or you can use it as a pass-through. This also has an integrated cable, and it also has a wrist leash if you wanted to hold it like that. These ones here from Anker are gonna give you a little bit more information from the LCD screen. It'll give you the overall battery percentage. You can also see the temperature of the battery health, how many cycles it went through, how fast is it charging things. This comes with an integrated carrying handle, and this one here also has a way to plug it in directly to the outlet. So again, like the Sharge, you can use it as a pass-through. And then here our beefy boy, it's got pretty much everything except the kitchen sink attached to it. You have one braided cable here that's also a wrist leash thing, and then you have a retractable cable that goes inside of the power bank. This is also gonna have a battery LCD screen, which is gonna give you a lot of information about your battery health, how fast it's charging, and all that good stuff. Sometimes you don't need that much power, and a 10,000 milliamp hour battery is gonna do you just fine. A lot of times, really, I just pull this one out, especially for my phone, just because it's MagSafe compatible. I don't have to get any cords out of the way. I like it because of the convenience factor. It's slim enough. It's probably like 5 credit cards thick. So that's why we have options here, lots of different options to look at, and they're all at different price ranges. You're gonna be paying a little bit more for more features, more milliamp hours, and more power outputs. So if those 3 things, you want them to be fast or more powerful, you're gonna pay more money for it. Our next category is flashlights. And if you're somebody who carries a flashlight with you every day, you might wanna consider some of these options. We have 3 different types of flashlights here to show you. We have a really big beefy boy with the Wuben X4. And then if you want something a little bit more on the go, we have the RovyVon Aurora key leash flashlight. This is gonna be more for your emergency situational type of thing. The pen flashlight is probably what I would go with for an everyday carry situation, because normally there's probably a pen slot or something of that nature in a bag that I'm using, and it's a little bit more intuitive for me to hold a flashlight like this. But if I'm really in that post-apocalyptic vibe, or, you know, I want something a little bit more tactical, this has a ton of switches and buttons and things like that that make it a little bit more of a nicer experience to use the flashlight. This is also the most powerful flashlight. It's got a bunch of different modes on it, including RGB mode, so that you can do your little dance party at the campsite with all of these different colors. But flashlights are a really awesome way to elevate your everyday carry that's not gonna break the bank. Next up, we're talking about some office carry, and I have a pocket Bluetooth keyboard from Nillkin. So this is actually foldable. And it also has a trackpad, which is pretty interesting. Specifically, I've used this with an iPad, and so if you're not gonna do that magic keyboard lifestyle, this is another option that you could look into. You can also pair this with anything that takes Bluetooth. To get to this form factor, some of the keys are slightly off-centered from my normal resting positions, so it's gonna take a little bit of muscle memory to get used to, but nothing too crazy. It's a little bit more mushy at the bottom, but I would say most people don't really care about all of that stuff, and just having it be in such a small form factor, plus USB-C charging, that's a pretty decent deal, and it's not too expensive either. And I have a few different options from Aulumu, starting off with this wireless charging pad. We've kind of already talked about this in our desk video, so if you haven't checked that out yet, go check it out. There's a bunch of different tech stuff that we went over, but this is a 3-in-1 charging station. It's really flat and compact, so if you need to travel with this thing, it's pretty easy to do, but it also has an actuating rotating head thing, so you can, you know, use MagSafe here, slap your phone on in landscape or horizontally. I have their iPhone 15 Pro case. I'm sure they have additional models, but this is a leather case that has a little bit of that cyberpunkiness right there. I've been using it for a couple of months, and I've even dropped my phone, so you can see a couple of dings here on the corners, but overall the buttons are really tactical and clicky. No problems here with the device. And if you're looking for a MagSafe accessory that's kind of also a fidget toy / box opener, then you definitely are gonna get covered with the G05. It's MagSafe compatible. It's a kickstand, so you can prop your phone up like this. It's also a windy toy, so it makes this Very interesting tactical sound to it. Also has a very tiny box opener ceramic blade attached to the bottom. And finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about is the A11 mag buckle for your Apple Watch Ultra specifically. But the real main star of the show, and the reason why I actually really like this strap, is because a lot of times when you have to take your watch off, you know, to charge it or whatever, it's really hard to get it back to the exact tightness that it was before. So the way that they've solved this is there's actually two different buckles on this strap. Let me show you what I mean. So when you put the strap back on, you just magnetize this strap buckle, and then this is the like actual regular strap adjustment here. So this is your, you know, fine tuning, like I want to dial it in strap adjuster. And then once you have it, then you just unloosen it like that. And that's a really easy way to take it on and off and keep the same tightness of the strap. A couple of things about this design that you just have to be aware of. Number one is that there's a couple of markings here that's just gonna come off with time because the way that it's, you know, manufactured. The only other thing to note is that because this is magnetized, if you're typing on your MacBook Pro or anything else that's metal, it's gonna start to actually magnetize there. But speaking of watches, I also have the Suunto Run watch to go over with you as well. So I actually wore this. I double wristed it for like a month trying to test it out. And my conclusion is that, you know, if you're really serious about your sports or your activities and you want to track it, this is a really good option. If you're kind of more of a casual person and you care a little bit more about the integration with your phone and all of your other devices, your Apple Watch is probably going to be a little bit of a better option. In my testing, I found that the Apple Watch was a little bit better at detecting when I was actually doing a workout. But as far as the actual analytics between this Apple Watch and this Suunto, they were about the same with a little bit of variance, but nothing too crazy. I would honestly say that maybe for a daily driver, you go with an Apple Watch or a regular watch, and then you wear this specifically only to do your activity. Because other than that, all the other stuff on this watch isn't really gonna be super great for normal day-to-day use. It's really meant just for activity tracking, or if you really, really care about battery life, because this thing lasts like 7 days minimum, which is awesome. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it has a proprietary charger. So kind of similar to an Apple Watch problem, but at least they make actual power banks or adapters or whatever for the Apple Watch. They don't do that with the Suunto. So you're kind of out of luck there. You're gonna have to bring that cable with you anywhere you go if you're gonna be traveling with this long term. And our last category to talk about are pouches and tech organizers. There's a lot of them out there nowadays, and it really just depends on how many things you're carrying, how big they are, how much protection you want, even the kind of protection, because we have, you know, waterproof protection here, but if you want maybe some more drop protection, you might want to go with like a hard shell case, something like this. If you want something that's more pocketable, more friendly towards smaller bags, you're going to want to get something that's a little bit more malleable, like some of these tech pouches. And they also have different styles of openings. So depending if you like flat lay pouches, we have accordion style tech organizers. And we even have tech organizers that have tech organizers inside of their tech organizers. So let's just go through all these options really quick to see which one might be good for you. Starting out with this Orbit Key, it's a 2-in-1 tech organizer. So before when I got this, I was like, I don't really know what the use case is. Why would you need to have 2-in-1? Why don't you just have one big one and one small one and call it a day? You can use both of them at the same time in 2 different places, or you can use them both at the same time inside of each other. So the way that I've used it, for example, when I'm traveling, I take the smaller pouch and I use this as like I'm gonna put this inside of my personal item. This has got all my like electronics for the plane. But when I get to my destination, I actually have a bunch of other stuff that I would need when I get there, like a bigger mouse or, you know, a hard drive or something like that, that can live inside of here. And they can marry each other and find their way back home when I get to my destination. So that was the main use case that I found use for 2 pouches in one. If you're gonna be using both pouches together, then you just get some additional organization with the smaller pouch. This next one you've probably already heard about, and it's the Peak Design Tech Organizer. This one's gonna be good if you have a lot of smaller things that you want to segment and separate. So So that's what I would use all of these interior dividers for. And then you would use these bigger sections for your larger items like a mouse or like a power bank or something like that. Essentially, the idea with this is going to be, you know, keep everything all together, take what you need out when you need it kind of thing. And that's kind of also how the Cap 2 works as well, which we'll get into. But yeah, tried and true method of organization. It also has a couple of lash points here. So if you wanted to convert this into a sling, you could do that. Next up, we have the Pelican Mod Pack. If you like Molly, there's a ton of Molly attachment situations happening on the back. So if this was going to be your like grab and go med kit or something like that, you know, maybe you have some organization inside of this zippered pocket, and then all of your other stuff that you can't fit inside, you can put on the Molly pouch pack on the back. But this is going to be a really good option for you if the way that you like to segment your stuff is kind of you do it yourself. So it's a blank canvas. There's lots of different options for you in terms of the Molly attachment system. Next up, we have the TomTalk electronics pouch. So this one here has a couple slip pockets here in the front. You have slip pockets in the back and some elastics. All these slip pockets here in the back are going to be good for all your cables, and then you can use the interior volume of the main compartment for your larger items. This might be a good option for you if you don't want to break the bank, but you still need a travel organizer. Our next organizer is going to be from Epika. So it's a travel organizer. You can use this maybe as a toiletry kit. You can use it for tech, really anything that you can fit inside of the pockets. It really depends on like the way that you want to interact with your stuff. So this is going to be kind of similar to the Peak Design travel pouch, but has a little bit more structure in the actual pouch of it all. And you also have hard-shelled options like this one from Ricardo Beverly Hills. One thing that is perfectly sized for is my external monitor. So when I travel, that's actually where I put my external monitor. And when you have sensitive items like that, that's where a hard shell case is going to come in handy and probably what you want to look for. And our last two pouches, I don't think they need any introduction. It's the Cap 1 and the Cap 2 if you don't already know about it. Here it is. They're really tried and true pouches, very well regarded in the carry world. You either really love yourself or you love someone that you're gonna give this to, because they are not cheap by any means. But let's just go through them really quickly to see what the hype is all about. This is the Cap 1. It's their flat lay pouch. It's got magnets, so I already love it already. But this is the way that it opens. You got two different compartments with mesh and a couple of interior pockets here for some organization. But you know, I think the reason why people really like this so much is that it's very interactive, the way that you open the bag and the way that it's displaying all of your stuff. It kind of reminds me a little bit of those like roll tool belt type of things. It kind of, you know, this whole like splay everything, see all my goods, like pick out the thing that I need. So that's why I think people really enjoy this pouch. And it's small enough to fit in pretty much all of your quick access pockets that are big enough to hold a jacket or something like that. And most bags have something like that nowadays. So that's the Cap 1 for you. And this is the Cap 2. This is the travel organizer, office caddy, desk companion thing that you've probably heard about. Some things that are really awesome about this pouch: the fact that it stands open like this. You have really awesome, quick, easy access to literally everything that you put inside of here just because of how open this crevice is. You can fit really huge things in here too, like over-the-ear headphones. You could fit hard drives. You could use this as like a camera pouch. You could put all your little, you know, devices, all your little batteries and cables and stuff. So there's a lot of universal appeal to use this for almost anything, because it's also constructed really well. It's padded all around. It's a really nice access point. I think people enjoy being able to look at all their stuff at once. So that's the Cap 2 for you. And that's the end of our pouch section. So as you can see, there are a lot of cool options for you to keep your eyes on this holiday season. I will make sure that I update the description and the pinned comments to the links or the discount codes that I find while the holiday season is rolling. And remember, this is just a sneak peek of everything that is to come for our 5 days of Christmas. Our 5 days of Christmas starts on Monday, November 10th. We've got gifts for travelers. We've got gifts under $100. Gifts for your lady friend who doesn't understand the world of carry. Take it from a lady who's into carry. I got you, fam. So there's a lot of really cool things happening. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that content. Special thanks to all the brands who sent us product to share with you guys today. Your support really does help keep the channel going. Remember, there are also affiliate links to everything that we talked about today. I do get a small commission at no cost to you, but if that's not your vibe, there's always liking, sharing, commenting, hyping, subscribing, all the stuff that you can do now on YouTube to show engagement. My name is Emerald from Emerald's Daily Carry. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.